Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I hope this year you're going to absolutely crush it. And in today's video, I thought it would be fitting with the new year. This would be perfect to tell you guys how you can actually buy your first rental property this year in 2023. And you could absolutely make it happen. I'm going to be giving you 5 steps that you can take to buy your first rental property this year. Before the ripe age of 22, I was able to build up a real estate portfolio worth well over $1 million. I did it all with my own money, no help, no inheritance, anything like that, just all on my own. And I did it in arguably one of the toughest markets in the country, Long Island, New York. Many people think you can't even buy a property here unless you're extremely wealthy, and that is not the case. So if I was able to do it at my age and in my market, then certainly you can too. I don't have a college degree. I never went to college. I barely passed high school. So let's get started, dive right into this video. But before we do, as always, make sure you guys do a couple things for me. Number one, give this video a tremendous thumbs up, smash the like button. You're gonna be getting a ton of value out of this video, so I'd appreciate it if you just give it a big thumbs up before we begin. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. That bell will notify you every time we do post a brand new video. Also, the next cash giveaway will be at 30,000 subscribers, and you'll have to be subscribed to be entered in that giveaway. So with that being said, let's get started and get right down to it. So let's start with the first step. That is going to be credit. I think this is the most important foundation. Before you do anything else, you really need good credit. So if you have terrible credit with history of obviously bankruptcy would not be good, but late payments and all that, you're going to start cleaning up your credit before you even think about buying a rental property. You really can't do anything with bad credit, and lenders want to see at least a credit score of 680. If you can get that to 700 or even 720, you're going to get the best terms. You're going to get the best rate possible, which means the lowest monthly payments possible for your mortgage. Now, I'm fully aware that with today's economic climate that we're in right now, the interest rates are super high, especially when you look at affordability and how much the average American family can actually afford. Affordability is terrible. So interest rates right now extremely high, but if you can actually gain control of a property, get control of that asset, and then refinance down the road when interest rates start to trickle down, well, you can get yourself a really good deal in this market. There's a much smaller pool of buyers right now, much less competition. So if you can get something under control and buy a property, even if it may not be the best deal right now, believe me, those interest rates will start to come down and you could refinance down the road, and you'll thank yourself that you bought the property when you did. Now, if you could never foresee yourself having good credit, if you just can't make on-time payments, you can't pay down your credit card debt, if you have tons of student debt and auto loans and all that, that's just holding you down, well, you could go out and look for a partner, or maybe even your significant other could help you out and co-sign on the loan. There are alternatives out there and ways to actually help you get financing for a property, and I'm going to be talking about that in just a moment. Step 2 is definitely going to be funds. It's going to be money. You're going to have money to buy a rental property. I'm sure you've seen gurus out there and videos that have said that you could buy a property with 0 down, 0%. There are possible ways where you could structure it, right, where you can get a partner and have that partner lend you the down payment to then buy the property, or maybe you can get a VA loan with 0 down. So there are definitely ways, but realistically speaking, you're going to need at least some money. Of course, you'll have to cover the down payment, and that will vary depending on how you're actually going to be financing the deal, and also closing costs as well. So usually your lender will charge you a couple points based on the loan amount, and there'll also be a lot of miscellaneous fees along with closing on your deal, so you'll have to account for that as well, and it definitely adds up. And if you live in an expensive market, obviously the more money you're going to need. Now, this could come from just saving up money over time. It can come from a 401k, a stock brokerage account. Now, the good news is that if you currently own a primary residence, what you can actually do is take out a line of credit or a home equity loan against your property, and you could actually use that for the down payment towards your investment property, and then have the cash flow pay off that line of credit or the home equity loan. So that's definitely a way to do it. if you're currently a homeowner. But generally speaking, rule of thumb is you're going to need 20% down plus enough to cover closing costs as well as reserves as well. So some lenders might require you to have 6 months of reserves in additional cash. This money will not be spent or invested, but lenders just want to see this money in addition to your down payment and closing costs. That way they know there's some cushion there in case anything goes wrong. This money could be illiquid, it could be liquid, but it's going to have to be either in a stock account, it's going to have to be in a checking account, 401k, anything like that. 6 months of reserves is typically what you're going to see and what you're going to need. And certainly your credit score will play a role in this. So if you have a good credit score, then you're going to be able to get a higher LTV or loan to value. So chances are, if your credit score is 700 or above, then you'll probably be able to get 80% LTV or loan to value. In other words, the bank will finance 80% of the deal and you'll have to come up with the other 20. Number 3, let's talk about financing your deal and being able to use leverage to buy a rental property. And leverage is super powerful, right? Because with just a little money, you could buy something of tremendous value as opposed to buying it outright. The bank is your friend, it is your partner in the deal, and they're coming up with the vast majority of the money. Pretty cool. The most typical way you're going to finance your first investment property is going to be using a conventional mortgage or a conventional loan. So this is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and these mortgage rates are definitely higher than if you were buying a primary residence. Now, you're free to try to say that it's going to be used for a primary residence and then use it for an investment property later on. You could go to jail for that, and that is technically mortgage fraud, so just be careful. We're not advocating you do that, but it is an option for you. There's tons of different mortgages and loan options for you. Another way you could go about this is doing a house hack, where you could put down as little as 3.5% down and use an FHA loan to actually buy up to 4 units. And as long as you live in one of them and call one of the units your primary residence, you could buy up to 4 units using an FHA loan and only having to put down 3.5%. And those loans actually allow for much lower credit scores. So if you have problems with your credit and you can't get those numbers up, well, then they're pretty lenient on the credit score as long as you could show sufficient income to actually cover the debt service for the rest of the property. Now, they can use projected rental income, 75% of the other units, towards that debt to income ratio, and your income will be looked at as well. Another option that's much less common, but it is definitely possible, is if you can obtain seller financing. So maybe, especially in this market, sellers might be more prone to do this. If you want to just talk to a seller and say, hey, I have 20% down, but I really don't want to go through a bank, would you be willing to finance the other 80%? A seller just might do it, and it's guaranteed monthly cash flow for them, so they get all the benefits of real estate without actually having to own the property and the headaches of it. So it's definitely an option, but it's much less common, and I would not count on seller financing. Another common option for real estate investors that want to buy rental properties, but maybe they don't want to show their income, or they write off a lot of their income, like me, on their tax returns. So a great alternative for you is to use a DSCR loan, or a debt service coverage ratio loan. Those interest rates are higher, but they're more geared towards investors and people looking to buy rental properties. And basically, instead of looking at your personal profile and your income and your tax returns, they don't even want to see your tax returns. All they want to see is how much income can this property produce, and is it enough, and then some, to cover the mortgage. And if that answer is yes, well, then you could easily obtain a DSCR loan. Now, it's much harder to find DSCR loans that could do up to 80%. You might end up having to do 75% LTV and having to put down 25%. But keep searching and explore a lot of mortgage brokers. I'm telling you, you might be surprised at what you could find. Just keep searching and make a ton of phone calls. You'll probably be able to get 80% LTV. Another form of financing is hard money, right? So if you have a property that's in distress and needs work, whether it's cosmetic or if it's major and it needs entire gut renovation, you could get hard money and put down as little as 10%, and your hard money lender will even finance the rehab as well. Now, you're gonna have to pay back your hard money lender and refinance out of that loan into another type of financing, whether it's DSCR or conventional, after that property is now newly appraised and has a much higher value. Now for this, I probably wouldn't recommend it for your first go around. That's just my opinion. If you are very knowledgeable in handiwork and maybe you're friends with a contractor or you have a good relationship with one, then it's possible. But most likely hard money lenders want to see some history. So they want to see at least that you have some properties being held or that you've done some flips in the past. So if you have very little money, you might want to do a BRRRR, or where you buy, then rehab, then rent, then refinance, and then repeat. So make sure you complete all of those steps. That's the key to BRRRR. Step number 4 is definitely going to be finding that deal and analyzing it. So make sure that that property cash flows, whether that's after the rehab or if you're not doing any rehab work and it's just a turnkey property, make sure it cash flows from day one. So important. Analyze the hell out of the deal. Take a look at your market and get really a concrete understanding of what the rents are in the area, as well as, of course, what your monthly mortgage payment's going to be. So analyze, do it 100 times. You don't want to get stuck in something that doesn't cash flow and then you're really going to be in the hole, in the negative. That's not what you want to happen. Make sure you account for maintenance and repairs, and if anything goes wrong, make sure obviously you account for taxes and insurance as well as principal and interest. Make sure you analyze the hell out of the deal, run it 1,000 times, do it again and again, and make sure the deal works. Appreciation is great, but we don't necessarily want to count on appreciation. We really want to buy for cash flow because that's what's going to allow you to pay down that principal, pay down that mortgage, and have enough in reserve. So if anything does go wrong, have that cash flow on the side to cover those expenses and hopefully make a little money while you're at it. Generally speaking, and this might be very difficult in today's market with these interest rates, as well as what your area is producing, generally speaking, investors, we want to see a 10% cash on cash return. So that means after we put down that down payment and closing costs, and maybe if it did need some maintenance and work before having to rent it out, generally speaking, we want to see a 10% cash on cash return. So the way you calculate that is see how much cash flow after every month, so times 12, and then that number, is it at least 10% of the money that you put down? Do that and calculate that, and if it's 10% or above, it's probably a good deal. Some investors take this to the extreme and really evaluate the deal. They look at the income in the area, the population, the poverty level, if there's job growth opportunity in that area, population growth opportunity, and the history as far as how much a property has appreciated year over year. So you could definitely take this to another level. So where would you find this deal, you might ask? Well, you could look on the MLS, so Zillow, Realtor, right? Those popular sites. You can even ask your real estate agent, and hopefully your agent is somewhat familiar with investing and investment properties. Maybe you don't want to go for a brand new realtor that it's their first day as far as looking at investment properties. That's just my opinion, but you're probably not going to get the best answers on a brand new realtor. You could also do driving for dollars, where you actually knock on people's doors and ask if they want to sell their house. So instead of having to hit the market and having to pay commissions, they can avoid that, and you can do driving for dollars. That's an option. Or maybe you could find an off-market deal, right? So something that's a foreclosure or something that's about to go into foreclosure, pre-REO. So there's so many ways to find deals out there. It definitely is harder when the interest rates are lower and there's much more competition. So right now is a good opportunity to get in something, and you might be able to get it at a good price. Fifth step, I'm going to call it mindset / is this for you? So definitely have that long-term mindset. Understand this is a long-term investment. Yes, it will provide a nice drip up for you up front, day one, with the cash flow, but understand that this is a long-term investment, that it does take a long period of time for a property to appreciate in value and go up, and it will take a long time to pay down your principal and have the tenants actually pay down your mortgage. This all takes time. It will not happen overnight. Also understand that you're probably not going to get super rich or wealthy off of one property, that this will probably take an accumulation of many properties over time. Now, the good news is that you could just start with one, then maybe it will take another year or two before you could buy another, but hopefully the process is exponential and you could eventually be buying more and more. And down the road, you could actually 1031 exchange your properties. In other words, you're going to sell your properties in many years to come and use those proceeds, which hopefully now the property has appreciated greatly in value since when you bought it. You can actually use those proceeds towards a much larger property with more units and something of much more value that hopefully provides more cash flow for you. And so definitely think about rental property investing as a long-term play, a long-term game. Also understand that this may not be for you. Understand that if you're managing the property yourself, you're gonna have to be a landlord, and that will take some discipline. It will take work. It will take those phone calls and texts that you do not want to hear, do not want to get, and you're gonna have to manage and maintain and do repairs on your property. Now, you're not necessarily going to have to do those repairs yourself. You can outsource that, but understand that the repairs and the maintenance comes along with the business, and I know it could be an absolute headache. You're going to have to deal with finding a tenant and screening them and making sure that they're a good fit for your property, and obviously you're also going to have to deal with the fact that there is a slim chance that you're going to have to evict them and kick them out. Slim chance, hopefully doesn't happen. I wish you the best. Now, you could also go about hiring a property manager, and you will have to give them a cut of the rent, which will eat into your profits. But if you really don't want to manage or maintain your properties and you just want to leave it to someone else and just get passive mailbox money on autopilot, then you might want to just use a property manager if you truly don't think it's for you. There's a lot that goes with real estate investing. It is not as easy as some may make it out to be. It's definitely a lot harder, and it's definitely a job if you're going to be a landlord. So understand that. So I hope you found this video helpful. I think real estate investing is the #1 way to build wealth, and it's the best investment you can make. Your future self is definitely going to thank you for buying property today. If you do have any questions, we will do our best to answer them for you folks. Let us know down below in the comments section. If you're curious about anything in this video, any questions that you might have before buying your first rental property, I think it's absolutely doable and attainable for you to buy your first property this year in 2023. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta make sure you cover all of these steps. If you do, I think you can make it happen. If you enjoyed this video, if you got value out of it, and if you want to see more real estate content, definitely let us know down below in the comment section. Let us know if you enjoyed this video. I know we haven't done a real estate video in a while, but if you found it valuable, give it a big thumbs up, smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. Make sure that you are subscribed and the notifications turned on. If you want to get some free stocks, all on me, all free, use the brokerage links down below in the description of this video. Sign up with the brokerage platforms Robinhood and or Webull. You'll get some free stocks, some values of thousands of dollars in some cases. So let us know what stocks you get. And if you want to connect me on social media, I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Use the social links down below. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care for now.